This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
BooBaes.
Hi,
Hello, and welcome to
BooBaes.
BooBaes. That's right, we're your hosts. I'm Caitlin,
And I'm Joshua.
and today we're here to talk to you about
Caveat.
Caveat. Yes,
A
2020.
2020 film. Um, I feel like I could have came up with a better, clever way to bring that up, but it was just caveat. It sounds like caviar, to be honest, just a little bit.
Caveat.
Caveat, like when
Like
you say it
if you
fancy.
say it fancy, yeah.
As in fancy and fast. But yes, a 2020 film. So while we were all hunkering down, I guess during the pandemic, this came out. I hadn't honestly heard about it, to be honest, until you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Um,
I hadn't heard about it either until recent. I thought it was like a 2025 film.
like a new film.
Yeah. Because I
Uh,
saw some other horror people being like, ooh, this is a spooky movie.
mhm.
And so then I was like, "Okay, let me watch this." And then yeah, then it was 2020 and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, it's an Irish horror film written and directed and edited by Damien McCarthy in his
McCarthy."
feature directorial debut, known for making short stories before this. And it's starring Johnny French, Leela Sykes, and it follows basically someone with amnesia who is being asked to perform a task. And it kind of has a caveat to it because we begin to find out that there's a lot more that was beneath the surface of this um, ask. What's the word? Like
Yeah. There's a
uh
lot more that
it's kind
the
of what that was left out.
person is not leading on to about.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's all left out and there's like he gets him there and then is like, "Oh yeah, but this one thing." And it's like that's the caveat. Like
Yeah,
and
and then
it's
it
like
happens to
if
be
I would
like
have known
10,
this one
10
thing,
things.
yeah. And if I would have known this thing, I wouldn't have done this.
Yeah.
So the whole time he's just sitting there and starting and being like, it's one red flag after another.
Yes, it is because we start in the movie with kind of uh leading up to kind of their meeting and like this kind of it's very like when you hire a hitman almost, like it's a very like it's a meeting, this is what you need to do this, you'll get the six, like you'll get money, blah blah blah. So it's handled in that way. But before we even get there, the movie itself has kind of a really eerie opening that's preluding kind of everything and kind of what I guess doesn't kickstart, but like is one uh part of the story that happened before everything on this, and this story happened. Does that make sense? I sound like I'm looping around, but
Yeah.
it's an important thing that happened before this part of the story takes place, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And so
Mhm.
we start off with just a little room with a lamp and it looks very like decrepit and very, run down. And we have this girl step into view and she offers a stuffed rabbit to the room basically, like holds it out in front of her and nothing happens. So then she proceeds and she's holding it up to different doors in different areas. And then
Was it like, sorry to interrupt. So I thought, wasn't it being isn't it kind of like a
like an
ghostometer?
EMF reader, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Like a supernatural
Yeah.
meter. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
got it. Got it.
Because, yeah, whenever she holds it up to one specific door, the rabbit starts to drum. So
Mhm.
it's like checking and it's setting off alarms, um, basically, that something paranormal is happening, or you can infer that.
Yeah. And it's really interesting too because this little bunny comes, pops up throughout the whole movie. And it's almost in itself like it honestly they could make like a whole spin-off, of like a whole backstory too of like how this bunny even came into their possession in this house. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, because
because
it's
there's
really
that
interesting.
painting with it.
Mhm. It's like they hint at a bunch of lore, but they never really give us anything. Because
Yeah,
it's very focused on like this one story that's affecting essentially this little family,
yeah, for
or
sure.
yeah, uh-huh. But yes, we open up and it's her walking her way through that room. It starts making the drum noises as she's getting closer, kind of like hot potato, cold potato, or what's that? Hot and cold. And as
Yeah,
she makes herself to where it's like, really drumming a lot, she starts to, it's like, what's that word? Sheetrock. It's like sheetrock, right?
yeah,
Sheep.
because she walked down the stairs into the basement,
Mm-hmm.
and then, yeah, then there's some, like, sheetrock against this wall. It,
It's
like,
like someone,
clearly looks like it, yeah, was, like, put in newly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like if you walk into like a new build of a home and you see how they barely put like the things up onto the two by
Yeah,
fours of home. And so
white box.
she, yeah, and so she gets closer to it. It's drumming, and then also she has blood. We start to realize that she has blood like on
Yeah,
her head
nosebleed.
and dripping all the way down. And
Yeah,
then
I think it's coming from her nose. She
was it
gets
from her nose?
nosebleeds.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then she ends up cutting like a hole through the door, the sheetrock, whatever it is. And as she's looking through it and you're kind of expecting something to jump out, it then transitions to our, I guess our main person for the film, which is Isaac. And he is looking through, or is it Isaac or is it Mo? One of them
It's
is looking
Isaac.
through. It's Isaac, right? He's looking through a little like it was like a porthole window.
Yeah, a little circular window.
Hmm.
And then we get the conversation that you mentioned earlier between Mo and Isaac. And he's basically saying, I've got a job for you.
Yeah.
And it's like $200 a day. So, not a bad gig, just
Mhm.
to basically babysit, he
Yeah.
says, his niece, right? Yeah, because
His niece.
he's the uncle. Um, and he kind of leads on, and we get some like odd bits to the story. Like,
Mhm.
he's like, "Oh, yeah, she goes back to this house because her father, my brother, committed suicide there or unalived himself in this house.
Mhm.
And then the mother vanished 8 months ago, and no one's been able to find her since.
Yeah.
And then he also goes, I couldn't take a week alone with her.
Yeah.
And
Because he starts explaining that she's not all there, that she gets mad, she has these fits. And so he's really not like making it sound that pleasant at all. But he's also like
yeah,
super like, I know, like not unaware, but like super like just avoiding like the how horrible it sounds, and he's making it sound like it's if it's nothing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
yeah.
anybody would do this.
Yeah, he's really lightning, like, not putting as much emphasis on the situation, kind of brushing off everything.
Yeah.
And he kind of says, like, Isaac kind of says, there has to be something more. And I was like, yeah, like, this
Mhm.
guy's being sketchy as fuck.
There's got to be a catch. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so also, and then after all of that, and he's like, "There's got to be something more." We get a title card, and it's like caveat, and then it's like but not like
I
that.
really like the music in this film. It very much reminded me of like Midsummer
Doesn't it?
with the like dissonant chords and stuff.
Yeah. It was
And
very, like, omnipresent, like, ethereal, like, that type of vibe, like, always
yeah.
in the background. Mhm.
Yeah.
And a
And
lot of
there was
the
one
time
point where I, like, specifically was like, "Yeah, this is good."
it sounds like a lot of it too is, like, trying to make you feel like
Oh,
you're being,
the
like
lights
something
have
is coming up behind. I know, like something is coming up behind you, or like something is like filling the room, like an evil
yeah.
dread, type of
Yeah,
sense.
it's very anxiety inducing.
Mhm. And so we then, after the title card, we're brought to this place, and Isaac wakes up, and he's kind of like, "Where are we?" He's kind of seems disoriented. So I'm like, "Did the dude like drug him and then
Yeah.
like brought him to a place so he couldn't see where he brought him to?" And Isaac
Yeah.
is just like, "All right, I guess we're here."
Yeah, because well, he asked Mo, "Where are we?" And Mo just gets out of the car, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Bitch, you could respond to me."
yeah. But Isaac definitely Isaac definitely doesn't ask enough.
No, yeah,
Like,
he
he
definitely
definitely
just
also is giving the same energy of just kinda letting it brush off. But I
yeah,
love how even though we're now, like, seeing that he's like, "Where's the house at?" And it's clearly on an island, and he's like, "You didn't tell me that it was on an island," and Mo is like, "Yes, I did," and they kind of go back and forth on the details, but we know as the audience that Mo did not tell him any of these details, so he's kinda
yeah,
getting super duped, and also, he says he can't swim, so
yeah. Once he said he can't swim, I was like, "Oh, no, something's gonna happen."
yeah,
Um,
exactly. It's a
and
bad omen.
yeah, this guy's literally setting him up for failure.
Mhm.
And so they get in the boat, they go across the water because that still doesn't stop him. Like,
Mhm,
he's still like, "Well, okay."
and the whole
Because
time
he
that he's
kinda guilt
going.
trips him too. He's kinda like, "Well, I don't wanna leave her here alone."
Yeah, it's true. He's gaslighting him a lot throughout this whole film.
Yeah.
But it's funny too, because even though he's still, like, super unaware of, like, what exactly the dangers he's about to get into, I guess, he's still just going with it, and then he it's funny because, like, as his body's doing one thing, but we're seeing his face, and his face is, like, totally, it's like everything's wrong. You know what I mean? Like, none of this is right. He totally looks concerned.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Mo is just like tweedledee, like, just, as if it's another Tuesday, and is then walking him up to the house. And this is whenever we go in, and we're getting a few more questions and a bit more information from Mo, who's not Mo at this point. He's just been called what, Barrett? Mr. Barrett.
Yeah, something by, like, his first name or
Just
something,
and so
or maybe his last name.
well, his last name, I think, yeah, Barrett, because the dad, yeah, anyways, they're talking more, and I think what um Isaac asks, like, is if anybody else is on the island, if anybody else or anything else is here, and he's like, nothing but foxes.
And then he's like, "Have you ever heard a fox
Scream.
cry?"
Or yeah.
And he was like, "No." And he was like, "Well, it sounds like a teenage girl screaming." And then he's like, "Have you ever heard a teenage girl scream?" And he's like, "No."
And then he's like, sure, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and it was like, Okay, that was weird."
Yeah.
Um, but and then he's kind of going on to explain, like, she Olga has
Mhm.
a fear that she'll be attacked in her sleep, so, like, you can't go into her room really ever. And then this is where he picks up the harness,
Mhm.
and he's, like, carrying it, and it's attached to this giant metal chain, and he's like, "You need to put this on." And then fucking Isaac's like, "What the hell? No."
Yeah.
And he just is like, "Well, you have to put it on." Also, sorry, hold on. Thank you. Um,
26,
And so he he is like, "You have to put it on," and it's just like he's left out major vital details, like, that Isaac should have definitely known about
Yeah, no,
in
for
order
sure.
to make him, like, comfortable in this situation, and it's like so, like, there's all these little caveats that
Because
are,
he's
like, just
popping up, and then Isaac's just, like, also making the metaphor of how, like, it's a fucking leash, like, and he says
yeah.
it multiple times, like, that's
He's like,
not
"You are gonna put me on a leash?" And
yeah,
he's like,
and Isaac
"It's
looks
not
almost
like
mad
that."
at yeah, and Isaac almost looks, like, disturbed that he's, like, even seeing it that way. He's like, "Come on, like you've never worn one of these."
Yeah. Like, this is
Mhm,
normal. He explains that they have it because the grandmother used to sleepwalk a lot.
mhm, and so she would walk offside, and they didn't want her, I guess, to, like, walk off into the ocean or the lake, it's not even the ocean.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
so they had it to where she could reach certain rooms, but not everything.
mhm,
Um, and so, yeah. And then we get into Olga's room, and she is in one of her catatonic stupors, as Mo calls it,
mhm.
and is covering her eyes with her hands, and we see her nose is bleeding again, or she's still bleeding.
Yeah, which is kind of like I've never heard of or seen anything, I guess. Or have you in other movies of like someone going in and out of a catatonic state?
I feel like in some movies I've seen it, yeah,
Okay,
but I
because I know,
can't recall like what movie.
and yeah, okay,
I'm thinking
we'll
of the
keep going.
canal.
The canal.
Anal.
Yeah, um, yeah. I found it like I was like, well, how convenient for Mo that like she ends up going into catatonic states. But then, like, because the whole movie, Mo essentially is trying to frame Isaac, right?
Yes.
For cover, sorry, plot, good, spoiler. Like, but I just sort of like, I just, and then,
And I
anyways,
think
we'll
he's
get there.
trying to kill Isaac.
No, yeah, for sure, to cover up like all of the tracks and stuff. But then,
Yeah.
like, what was his plan with her? That's what I never really like. At the end of it, I'm kind of like,
I
what
think
was
she
always gonna?
was in on it, and then she couldn't do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's at one point where he was like, at the end, whenever he comes down into the room and he's like, I should have known, like, just as your mother said, you're like no good for anything kind of thing. And I think that she
Hmm.
was like maybe a part of it, or
Or
like,
gaslit into it, like,
yes,
yeah, 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 yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
think that she was like willingly like, yeah, let me kill this man. But like she was led to believe that he killed her
Her
father
father. Mhm.
and then did all this other things. And so,
Interesting. Okay, sorry. All right, let's
and then
rewind.
part of me wonders if she killed her father because the door was already
It's already
locked.
locked, and then that never gets explained.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot of loose ends.
and so we're yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're getting told about how as she's there in her catatonic state, how she goes through these episodes, and that she's also paranoid and stuff like that, right? Or we
Yeah,
may have
like
already got
she's a
all that.
paranoid schizophrenic.
Mhm, mhm.
And
Just
yeah,
basically shit talking her while she's there, and also
yeah,
doing weird
right in
things
front
like
of her
grabbing a
face.
lampshade and like putting it on her head, like as if she's a dunce. Like,
Yeah, that
yeah,
made me mad. I was like, "What a dick."
yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then this is where
You
Isaac
kind of,
gives in though for that money, and
mhm,
he allows him to put the harness on him.
yeah.
And in this moment, um, I liked the music. I notated it here, and I was like, this the way like the music was building as they were putting the harness on him, and the way it just added to the scene was really nice. I liked it.
Yeah. Also
Um,
because it also adds to the, like, depth of, like, his decision, because if he were to just, like, put it on, like, 1, 2, 3, lock up, like, "Alright, that's it." But, like, as he's taking, because it takes, like, what, like, 2 minutes for him to lock that thing up on him. Like,
yeah,
as
it's
it's just,
very, like, involved.
yeah, and, like, the more and more I think, Isaac is thinking, like, "Fuck, shit, damn." Like, it's just getting more and more, like, and then finally he locks it up. And then what I would have been like is like, "You're leaving the key with her?"
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
have been like, "The paranoid schizophrenic?" Like,
Yeah, the one who's currently sitting in the corner with their hands over her eyes, like, covered in blood. Like, I don't think this is a good idea.
yeah, yeah,
At that moment, I would have been like, something is going fishy here. Like,
yeah. And
actually, the
then
moment
and then
the house was on an island, I would have
and
been
then he
like,
got
oh, I'm
locked up.
good.
Well, we'll get there because, he's locked up, right? And then it's happening. It's already a done deal. And so Mo, m- uh, Bear, whatever, the uncle leaves, and we have we're left with Isaac just kind of exploring, I guess, at this point with the
Mhm.
chains on. But he didn't even check to see like how far these chains would even go because homeboy can't even use the restroom
I
because it
know.
doesn't go far enough.
I
And it's
was
even
like,
more
the chain
torturous
doesn't
because
allow him to use the bathroom? Because, like,
even more torturous
he
because like it's like a foot or two away.
yeah, and he goes and
Um,
he, like, goes to pee out the front door, and I'm like, "But what if he has to take a shit? Like, what
he
is
has
he
to do
supposed to
it right at the
do?"
front door.
Yeah, I don't know, I was like, "Holy crap." But,
Literally.
yeah, and while he's exploring the house, like, we see the chain heading down the stairs into the basement. He walks over a grate, which at that point, the way he paused over it, I was like, "That's gonna come back into play,"
Mhm.
and it did.
Yeah.
So,
Little foreshadowing.
he walks over the little grate and it's kinda like, and I was really worried it was gonna be like somebody was kind of like Milo situation, even
Remind
though
me of
that
that.
never happened in Milo, but it was my fear that it happened in Milo.
Like that someone's gonna stab someone from from the thing?
The watching what?
Oh, okay, okay, like, just
Just
watching.
somebody
Got it, got
being
it.
in there watching,
I was
yeah.
thinking of, like, you meant, like yeah, 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 I thought you meant, like, someone
Someone's
actually,
coming to
like,
stab his
stabbing,
feet.
like, him or, like, stabbing in the foot. Yeah, 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 as he's walking
Yeah,
by,
that would also suck.
which not fun. It's like, well, House of Wax. You've seen House of Wax, right?
Yeah, with the
Paris
Achilles.
Hilton. And or remember, no, he's sticking his finger out of like a a street vent thing at one point. It's like
Oh,
where the gas station is, and the dude clips his finger off with a set of pliers.
yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah,
It's been a long time since I've seen House of Wax. We should cover
yeah.
it sometime.
It's good. I like that one actually.
Yeah, I did too.
Um, it's
But
got Paris Hilton in it,
it's true. And
Queen,
Chad Michael Murray.
Mhm.
But
and the dude from My
he
Cousin Skeeter.
I don't
Did
know
you ever
that.
watch that show?
No.
It's from Nickelodeon. But anyways,
Oh.
continue.
Um,
You
he gets outside or gets to the door frame. He can't make it outside. And we see this dog that looks like it's seen some shit. That dog's little eyeballs. I was like, man, they casted one haunted dog. Like,
I guess it was very scary looking.
yeah, his eyes were like,
Mhm. Maybe
and so,
maybe they digitally enhanced that because it definitely was like so black, and then his eyes were just piercing, and even
yeah,
his face was so like spooked looking.
yeah, it looked like this dog is traumatized.
Seen some shit,
And
and we
yeah,
never get any. Also, is the dog just supposed to be like a metaphor for him? Because there's never any
yeah,
explanation for the dog either.
I don't know.
Like, how was this dog even there in the first place, and how long? And like, that means someone else would have had to have left it there, and then they just left it there to starve. Like, was she taking care of it? So many questions. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe. It
So
might have
many.
been her dog.
Okay. And then she's
But
watching him steal it at the end.
yeah,
Chained up.
and then we just end. But
Yeah.
so the dog, he ends up sitting in the door frame, and the dog is like just tied up, can't go far, like they can't reach each other. And he is like feeding him spam or
Mhm.
something,
Yeah.
and is sitting there, and he's looking at this photo of himself who was unrecognizable to me almost
Without the beard, yeah.
without the beard. Yeah.
I
And
was
so
like,
looking
"Which
at
one's
this
him?"
photo, I know, of himself and Mo, right?
Him and his brother. It was him and his brother
Oh,
who had the red jacket.
no, that was him wearing the red jacket.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. He says that it was his brother's jacket, but that was him.
Oh, but in the picture, it was Mo. Because I didn't think it like, I didn't recognize it to be Mo, that's why I thought it was him and his brother.
Oh, I don't know. I
Okay.
I interpreted it as him and Mo, because then he says like later on, he says like to Olga, we were apparently close, but I
Mhm.
don't remember now.
Yeah.
And
I
so
don't know.
I just yeah. But
But he's looking at the
anyways,
picture.
yeah, and the dog perks up,
Mhm.
looks terrified again, and the light goes off behind him, and then the
Yes.
chain starts raising, which was like, "Oh, no, no."
Spooky. And also because
Yeah.
it goes really high up,
Yeah,
and it doesn't seem
like,
very,
almost
like
towards the ceiling.
yeah, like a natural human wouldn't be able to do that unless they were, like, on a ladder.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then it then tugs on the chain and almost pulls him back over.
Yeah. So, he ends up getting spooked as one would, and he, like, freaks out, checks out, go turns on the light, and he starts to does he call out for Olga?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
he's calling
uh-huh.
out for Olga, and then he's answered with screams over the intercom.
Mhm. Yeah, and then, are they supposed to be the fox screams, or was it right?
These ones
Typically?
sounded more like it
Her.
was coming over the intercom,
Yeah. Well, she ends up then going to her room, and he finds her.
but
Um,
she's moved.
she's moved. Yeah, she's in a different area, but she's still doing the same thing. Um, and then this is whenever he's like, "Okay, well, that's fucking weird." Um, and is this when he finds or he hear? Oh, he starts to walk out, but he starts to hear like little like a drum sound. And I only know because I had captions on. I did not even hear the drum sound, but the captions were like drum sound, and he's like, "What's that?" And then he hears it again. He's like, "What's that?" And then after that, he just decides to go to bed.
Yeah,
Like
I could hear it. It didn't sound like a drum to me.
it didn't either. It just
Um,
sounded like a noise,
it sounded
like
like
a
something
twig breaking.
scuffling,
Mm,
scuttling, like
mm, mm.
like that to me. But yeah, he hears it, and then he is like kind of
He's just
brushes
like,
it off,
yeah,
and then he reaches his bed finally. So thankfully he's got a bed.
yeah. He's got a little room. It's more like a little cot,
Yeah, little
and
baby cot.
he's in this room. It's small. It seems like what would be like, the help, the like when those old houses, and it's like doesn't even seem like it has insulation or anything, like or a floor. It looks like dirt, but I guess it's not. I guess it's wood. Because we do see that the picture frame falls on it and stuff. But it's just not a very nice room. And he ends up trying to go to bed. But as he's trying to fall asleep, we hear, I guess, like we hear a thud. We hear a thud, and he's like, "What?" And he turns around, and it's a painting on the wall. And it's of this chick who's holding the rabbit, and her eyes are kind of like menacing looking. I don't know what she looks like. She's got resting bitch face on,
Yeah, she looks a
essentially.
little grumpy.
Yeah. And then he tries to, like, ignore it, but I believe or no, I'm sorry. She had fell, that was the thing. She fell and he was looking at her, and then he's like, "Imma turn you around," and so he tries to turn it around, but then when he gets back in bed, he hears a sound not too long after, and he looks back at it, and she has flipped herself somehow back
Mhm.
around, and then I believe he does it one more time, and at this point, when she comes back around, like, her eyes are different, and she looks
Yeah.
more mad, like, more alert, and, I think he himself is just like, "What the heck?" But then, like, it was either all a dream or he just went back to bed and woke back up and she was normal again.
Yeah, and it was turned around and
Yeah.
everything, cause and it
Mhm.
started, like, whispering to
Oh,
him,
yeah, 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 that's true.
and then, when her eyes changed and stuff, and it was, like, pretty creepy.
Pretty creepy. It's very, like, supernatural. I mean, I thought it was gonna go more from there, but then, like, that's it because then it's day 2. It's the next day,
Yep, and, and then I wrote again, "Okay, but can he pee?"
right? Poor guy
Because
cannot pee.
they think, like,
I think
he
it was gonna was he gonna try to and then he got interrupted?
yeah, something like that, and then he's, like, going into different rooms, and I think
He's
I still was
exploring.
just like, "Can he pee, though?" And,
Yeah.
but then this is where he finds the bunny rabbit in the
Yeah,
stove.
because he's cold and he's shivering throughout the whole house, and so he finds it in the stove, the hearth thing, and so he takes it out and he's going to um like try to start a fire so that way it can get warm. But before he can even do that, Miss Olga pops out. She's finally like alert and she has a fucking crossbow in her hands
Yeah,
and
and, oh, we hear a fox scream too for the
we
first time,
hear
because
a
that's
fox
why she
scream.
comes in, she goes, "It's just the foxes,"
Mhm.
and
And then
I
she's
was
like,
like,
"Who are you
"Ooh."
and what are you doing here?" And so then, like, we basically get her holding a crossbow. He's kind of freaked out, and her just kind of going on like a 5 minute, like, what's that word? It starts with an E. Where it explains in movies like expla looks, where she's just explaining, like,
Epilogue?
kind of, no,
No,
but you know what I mean, where she's just kind
yeah,
of
I know what
basically
you mean.
giving us information as the audience, where it's just like it's just so like, here's information, here's information, here's information. and
Yeah,
but anyway, she's basically just giving him all the drama of like how her mom was crazy and her mom would like take pleasure in agitating her dad because he had claustrophobia and she would put him in the chain and then lock him in the basement. And then one time they like fought over the key, but then she swallowed it.
yeah, which I
And
was like, "Oh my god, what a bitch thing to do."
yeah, and so we're just
But
getting all this
yeah,
tea.
because he kind of prompted it by
Mm,
just going, "I heard your father killed himself." And I was like,
mhm,
"Wow, no
mhm.
tact." Like,
Yeah,
no, that was not smooth at all. You were just like, "I heard your father killed himself." And I was like, "Oh my god." And she's like, "Yeah, shot himself through the head with this crossbow."
mhm.
Um,
I'm like, is
and
that
then yeah,
possible?
I guess if
Like,
you
how do
hold
you even
it,
like
but it was like in his eye. So he would have
like
had to have held it out here or like
how do you
looked into it.
like a crossbow? Like I'm like they gotta have some long ass arms to like
Yeah.
be able to also shoot that at yourself. Like, anyways,
It's like same when people try to like say people unalive themselves with a shotgun. Like you have
it's
to
like
pull the trigger with your toe kind of thing. But
that.
yeah. And so basically she's explaining that she tells him that he was locked in the basement because of his mother and that he died because of his mother, because of her mother, basically,
Mhm.
at this moment. And then she disappeared after that. And then Then Olga just walks out, like, in the middle of the conversation.
Yeah.
She's just like, "Okay, I'm done," and
Yeah.
leaves. And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, this movie's a little bit weird. And so then, because I just wrote like Looney Tunes at this point in my notes, I was like, they're both nuts. He's nuts for being here, and she's nuts, I guess, because she's just giving off nuts vibes.
Yeah.
And then we are with him, and then this is when he starts to notice that the bunny like drums. Oh, duh, because he's sitting in front of it, and it just starts to
Yeah.
drum at him. And he's like looking over, and he starts to kind of ask it questions almost, and it starts to
Yeah, he
almost
goes, "Hello?"
reply, and like this like doot doot, and then like I guess there was at one point I started to feel like it was like doot 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 for yes
Uh-huh.
at certain points because he would be like "Is someone here or something here, and the little thing would drum, and so yeah, him and Bunny start to have a time, and Bunny starts to kind of direct him through the house, just as we saw at the beginning of the film with Olga. And then we have him getting all the way like downstairs to the basement, and this is all taking a good while, but he finally makes it to the basement, and then that's whenever the little bunny thing starts to drum even more towards what looks like a little glory hole in the wall. And then he's like, okay, weird. And so as he's getting closer and closer, it's drumming even more. And so then we get to it. And at this
There's
point,
whispering happening from the circle too. Because,
mhm,
like, the whole thing, it, like, something almost came up behind him
mm,
and
mhm, mhm.
like a spirit did, because the basement door opened, and after he had specifically closed it,
You
and
think it was the mom spirit, like trying
I
to lead
do.
him to find the body? Yeah,
Yeah. And
probably.
so he, like, is drawn to the door, and the drumming just grows louder and louder, and then it suddenly stops. So then he grabs the fire poker and goes to investigate, and then he's brings the bunny, and it's again, yeah, drumming at the circle, and then we get whispering from the circle too. The
Mm,
kind of similar whispering is like we got from the painting the night before.
yeah.
But he looks
And
in, and what does he find?
he finds mom's corpse.
Mommy.
Yeah, she's rotting. She's dead. Well, I mean, honestly, she's kind of holding up well, I guess, for being missing for 8 months. But
Yeah, I guess because it's
um,
cold in there.
damn, locked up. But yeah, she's dead, and he freaks out, of course, and he's like, "Whoa!" And then
And we
as
see that
he's
she has the key around her neck still.
yes,
And she's been shot with arrows in the chest. Um, and then, yeah, he obviously freaks out.
freaks
Olga,
out.
he goes back upstairs. Olga's back in her catatonic state with hands over her eyes again. And
Yeah.
he's trying to reach the phone. And I loved this scene with the hand just through the wall with the music. And like, I thought he
Uh-huh.
was going to reach for the key,
Me too.
but then he fucking goes to
Hit the
the phone. And I was like, why didn't you just get the key?
My thoughts exactly. I literally was like,
uh,
why wouldn't he grab the key? Why would
yeah.
you grab the phone? And it was right there. And so yeah. So
Because you could come to the phone after you get out of the suit.
mhm.
So, yeah, it just
Er,
didn't make sense to me.
it did not. And so he calls Mo and
No.
he's like, hey, bitch, I found that missing woman in the basement. So you need to come get me because I don't know where I'm at and you need to call the cops and figure this out. And Mo is just like, don't worry, I got this. And then
Yeah.
hangs up. And
Yeah, and
then,
he asked, like, "Have you called the police or
oh,
did you tell Olga?" And
as
he was like,
soon
"No, I didn't."
as soon as he's asking, have you told anybody else? I'm like, sus, so
Yeah, I was like,
sus.
he knew.
Yeah,
And so then yeah, he's like, "I'll take care of it." Hangs up, and I was like, I doubt he will.
yeah.
Um and then he goes back down to the basement, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden we start getting a little like page on the intercom for Isaac.
For Isaac and excuse
Oh,
me. Yeah.
oh, and he locked her in the room.
Yeah, he did lock her in the room. That's why she starts paging because she's like
I'm locked in my
calling
room.
calling for her uncle, but he's not there obviously. And she's like, "Why can't I get out?" And so then he goes to the door, and that's when he's like talking to her through the door, right? And then he tells her
Yeah.
to just like
Yeah, he
he's
opens
like
the door, I
because
think.
he's like, "Put the crossbow down." Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
he's
he tells her to leave the crossbow.
put the crossbow down. I'll open it up. And so then he opens it up and then he starts explaining to her, like, I found your mom. And I love how he's so just nonchalant. He's just like, "Yeah, I found your mom. Like, she's in
I
the
found her.
fucking basement." Yeah.
Yeah, and then she's
Uh,
like, "Oh, yeah, I found her too."
yeah. And yeah, she's like, I found her too. And then then that's whenever she starts to
Oh,
tell
and then
him,
yeah.
like, yeah, that like hint that it was her uncle and her dad that killed her.
Yeah, because she was like, "You called my uncle?" And he was like,
Uh,
"Well, yeah." And she's like, "Now he's not gonna let you live
yeah.
or leave."
Yeah,
And I was like,
because
"Oh, snap."
because it was him and my dad that killed her, and then she starts to expand on that, and then I think I was writing down notes, or I don't know, because I looking down and I look up and all of a sudden, she's like, "Do you remember this?" And it's like his brother's jacket.
Yeah, so he was begging her to call the police, and
Mhm.
then he turns around because he hears a noise behind him.
Mhm.
And so and then she walks in, we see her move towards the closet or the bathroom, whatever
Yeah,
the door is. And then she comes back out and she's got the coat and he was like, "What the hell?" And she's like, "Do you remember this?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's my brother's jacket. My brother had one just like it." And she was like, "Yeah, you when you were here before, you took it off." And he was like, "What do you mean?" And she says, "You were here about a year ago. Mo sent you." And she goes, "You're the one who locked the door on my father. You lured him down there, and he was down when he was down there, you locked him in." And he was like, "No, no, excuse me. I think I'd remember killing someone." And he's like, "Maybe you're getting confused."
right. Because also, didn't she just fucking say that her uncle and her dad killed her? It's
Yeah,
the way
well,
there was like by the end of there was like 3, 4 different explanations by the end of the movie.
yeah, well, she said that the uncle and the dad killed her mom, but she was saying here that he killed her dad.
Ah, okay, okay, my
Yeah.
bad, my bad, my bad.
And so she was like, "You're the one who locked him in to the basement and made him kill himself because he
Mhm.
was claustrophobic and you locked him down there." So no longer was it the mom that killed him, it's now Isaac.
Yeah,
So there is still multiple stories
yes,
happening.
ma'am.
Um, and he's like, "Maybe you're getting confused." And so he like begs her to call Mo and she calls him. She puts him on speaker
Yeah,
and he's like, "Blah blah blah, this bitch is saying that I killed her father." And he goes, "Yes."
you
And
did.
he's like, "What do you mean yes?" And he says, "That's what you did." And he was like, and then he goes, "It was a mistake." Um and then he asked Olga to take him off speaker and said
Yeah,
something to her that we don't know what he says. But then she hangs up the phone and she asks him, "You really don't remember any of this?" And he's like, "What are you fucking talking about?" And
literally.
and then she was like, "You were a different person after the accident." And he's like, "What?"
Listen, he's so like he's so at this point like that feeling of being gaslit. I guess even though we find out that it is true, but like he's so like, what the fuck? Like, no, I didn't. Like, I would know if I did any of these things. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Hmm.
exactly. And then so then he starts like after this conversation, he's like, "Okay, I need to get out of here." Like, I
Yeah.
got to get out of here. So he's trying to pull the chain out of the ground. And at this point, I was like, take the key off mom.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
that was my first thought. And he's just running around everywhere. And then fucking puts his hand through the hole in the
One more
wall
time.
to grab the key this time. But, ooh,
Shoulda got it
what did
before.
she do? Yep.
She literally grabs, and it seems like she's done this before, but she grabs his hand and she, like, does she break the fingers? Or,
Yeah, I think she breaks them,
she
or
broke
at
some,
least
right? Yeah.
dislocates them.
Like, at least 2 of them.
Yeah,
Like, these 2,
because you
yeah,
see
and
later that he
they're,
can't
like
use the
they're, like, all,
fingers.
like
Like,
they're, like, fucked up. They're like that.
yeah, he's holding something and these 2
Yeah.
fingers are like so he's got, like, a grip on something and then these 2 fingers are just, like, out
Yeah.
here.
Unfortunately.
But, yeah, she breaks his hand, and then he
Yeah,
finally gets the key off mom.
finally. And he lets himself out of the the thingamabobber.
But then the
Oh my
house goes
goodness.
dark.
House goes dark because Miss
Miss
Olga
Thing has
turned
got
off all of
the
the power.
yep,
Mhm.
and
And
then he
so
hears crying.
here's crying, which I'm assuming is the foxes. I don't know at this point.
I don't know, this point, it kinda sounded like actual crying,
Like a
like a
ghost.
woman, like a ghost. Like, I was
Mhm.
thinking it was maybe the mom.
Yeah. And
But the
so,
mom seemed like a little trickster spirit even at the end.
yeah, like she wasn't necessarily even like getting
Sad.
revenge or anything like
Yeah,
that.
like,
Yeah,
she
like
just
she
was
was
having
just,
fun.
yeah. And so as he then tries to go out, he tries to get out, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's, like, searching the house in the dark, and he
Hmm.
gets to the deck, like,
Oh yeah, that's right. He gets outside.
the yeah, to the deck of the lake, but
Hmm.
he can't there's the boats
Swim.
over on the other side because Mo took it back to shore. You think
Yeah,
they'd have 2 boats, but,
you would think.
um and I guess you only need 1 if you row it over to the house yourself, but, like, if you have company, you'd wanna put a I guess you just go get 'em.
I
Um,
feel like 2 boats would
but
always be better
yeah,
than one.
so yeah, and yeah, so he can't get off because he can't swim, and then he gets back in, and I think this is where he finds the phone lines have been cut, right?
Yeah,
Maybe? Oh, no, that's a little bit later, sorry.
I believe.
But
No,
the
I believe that
electricity's out.
the electricity is out, and so he can't see anything, and so he's kind of fumbling, trying to find his way. And then that's whenever he goes, he gets all the way down to the basement. No, no, no,
Yeah, he
no, no, no,
finds
no.
Olga
Yeah, my bad.
with her
He
nose
finds
bleeding
her,
and
but
eyes covered.
she's in another catatonic
Yeah,
trance. I'm back. I kind of got lost in my notes there for a second. I got backed up,
and then
but yes,
he locks her in the harness.
because he takes advantage of her being vulnerable right now, locks her up, and then after I guess she's locked up, he decides that everything's okay because he's like worse for wear. And then I don't know if it's his bed, but he decides to go to bed. Like he just finds
Yeah,
somewhere and he just starts to like take a nap.
yeah, and this is where we see that the phone line has been cut. I
Yeah.
believe he's in Olga's room. I
Mm,
believe he
mhm,
goes
mhm.
to Olga's room to try the phone and then just lays down in her bed knowing that he's safe, like she can't get to him there.
In
Um,
the bedroom, yeah.
so and this is where he starts having some recovered memories
Yeah, everything starts to kind of come back, I guess, because of the conversations and the
in the
location.
trauma. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting let out. And so we kind of have this other storyline going of where he had met up with Mo, and Mo was basically explaining to him that he needed him to help take his brother out not by killing him or anything, but by just like literally going to his house and locking him in the basement. He says that his
Mhm.
brother has become like mentally unstable and he just doesn't trust him anymore. And I mean, we know this is because he doesn't trust him to now keep his secret safe that he helped him kill his wife, which is probably why he went into a psychotic break. But I'm
Yes.
not sure. There's a lot of also details that like there's
I
also the Olga details, and then also the mom,
feel
the
like
grandma
that
that
is
was,
correct.
and then also like the grandma that was like the detail of the grandma that was sleepwalking. So that's why they have the thing.
The
Like this is,
harness.
yeah, it's just giving like, and then the bunny. Like there's so many like things that like because the movie is really short as well. It's only an hour and like 27 minutes. So
27 minutes, yeah.
yeah. So I feel like there were definitely like I don't like you said there were like loose ends. Like there was just a lot of things where I feel like as a viewer were like, I wish we would have gotten more like knowledge about that part or more, insight. But yes, I digress. Um he is getting all of this whatever I'm still trying to think of that word that I was thinking of earlier, but it's basically just explaining everything that happened a whole year ago with their situation and how he went to the house. He went in, but I guess he was having a change of heart because whenever he was there at the house, am I getting ahead of myself?
I don't think so.
No,
Sorry,
yeah, like
I'm
he ended up,
trying to look up the fun facts on
no,
it to
you're good.
see if
Yeah.
there's anything that, like, can explain. I'm gonna look up caveat film explained, and I found a subreddit. So,
Love it.
will
We'll do
yes,
that.
okay. Yeah.
Because we have him like remembering all these things and then essentially um as he was there at the house he I guess had cold feet and he decided to leave a note for the brother because I don't think he could find him at first and he decided to leave a note that said like
Yeah, because no one came.
nobody was
And
answering. Yeah.
yeah.
And so he's like, Mo Barrett is trying to kill you. But then before he leaves, he hears a noise coming from the basement and he goes to the basement. And then that's when he sees that the basement door like is already locked. And then as he unlocks it, it goes in and goes deeper to where like those little tunnel area things where the wife
Oh,
was left to
did you
die.
mention that he woke up to throw up and Olga got the crossbow?
No, not no,
Okay.
I haven't.
Because
Um,
that happens right after
right
the
before.
conversation with Mo asking him
Mm,
to kill his brother.
mm,
And so
mhm.
he wakes up, throws up from the realization that he told him to go on and that
Yeah,
he agreed to kill someone. And so he throws up thinking that he killed him and from remembering. And
yeah,
then she gets the crossbow, shoots right past his head and nicks him. And
yeah.
then she shoots him in the leg
Yes.
through the wall thing, and then this is a flashback to when he gets to the house for the first time.
Because it's
And
coming in pieces.
yes, it's coming in pieces. So all that happens in between. And
Yeah.
then now he passes out in the bathroom. And this is where we get this second flashback where he gets to the house for the first time wearing the jacket. He hangs the
Mhm.
jacket up. He hears laughing in the house, like maniacal kind of laughing,
Mhm.
and he unlocks the door to the basement real big, like,
No, no. Yeah.
why was it locked already?
Yeah.
Finds the crossbow and then goes into that room off the basement like you were just about to say.
Yeah. And then we get a jump scare from good old Papa, who's
Wah.
bleeding from the face, and
Yeah.
essentially Isaac just runs out and leaves him there.
Yep.
Um,
And he basically, then the Mo comes to his house a few days later, not even the next day,
it was
because
2
he
days, I
was
believe,
like,
I wanna say,
yeah,
or because he was like it was 3 days, because he was like, "Where have you been the last couple days?"
yeah. And
Mhm.
he was like, yeah. And Mo's like, sorry, I've been planning my brother's funeral. Like, acting mad that he killed his brother. And it's like, you're the one who asked me to do this.
Yeah.
And so it just was like, what the hell? But um, Mo comes, delivers the money, and he's like, "I didn't do anything. The door was already locked when I got there." And he was like, "Did you go lock it?" And Mo says, "You think that I went and locked the door and then paid you to go out there and lock it again?"
Like it
And
doesn't. He's like, it doesn't make sense.
yeah, and
Which I also
then
didn't. So okay, let's just keep going, and then yeah, let's just keep
yeah, well, I got this like 5 paragraph thing that I can read of
going.
the
Okay.
ending explained. But yeah, and so, but then he all of a sudden holds up the note and he goes, "You went there to warn him, didn't you?" And he was like, "Yes."
Literally.
And then he says, "Take the money and leave. I don't ever want to see you again." And then we flash to him leaving, and then Isaac is drinking on the balcony, and I was like, "Oh no, is he gonna jump? Is that the accident?" Like he couldn't live with the fact that like somebody got killed because of his actions. And then
Mhm.
we see the little socks on the floor, and I was like, "Oh shit, Mo has come to kill him."
Yeah,
And that's
definitely
exactly
trying to
what
cover up his
happens.
tracks. Except he doesn't kill him because
He just
apparently we can
injures
just
him.
infer that he got injured and got amnesia. And
Yep,
now,
by pushing him off
essentially,
the balcony.
I think Mo now is just trying to cover his tracks by, getting him back on the island. I don't know. But
Yeah.
and so all of that's happening. And so then we cut back to our present day, and Isaac is like waking up, and he tries to he takes the bow and arrow out of his leg, and then he tries to get out of the area that he's in. Is it a restroom? I think it's the restroom, right?
Yeah, he's
It's
in
the
the
bathroom.
bathroom.
And then he finds like this little crawl space in between the walls.
Yeah, because the panel just opens up on its own.
Oh, okay, yeah, very
Mama was leading
supernatural.
him in there. And I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, hell no."
Yeah,
Like,
which he
absolutely
does go
not.
in there, and he
I know, he
starts.
just, like, scoots on over to it like it's no
Yeah,
big deal that it just opened on its own, and he's like, guess I'll go in here." And I was like, "Bitch, bitch, no. That just
yeah.
opened on its own. What are you doing?"
And so he ends up going through it, and then, like you said, unfortunately, he starts to hear things in there, and then we start to hear things, and then as he shines the light down, um, because he's made it some way, we see very spookily, like, her head, like, the first half of it, just her eyes kinda, like, looking over some pipes and then going
Yeah, you
down.
can see, yeah, and you can see, like, and do you see her head twice
I only
or
remember
just the one?
one, just
Okay,
the
but
one
you could
scare,
see
but
she's got
there's,
a
like
big grin on her face too.
yes,
She's like,
yeah, 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 yeah,
like,
and
again, very
she's
trickster spirit.
very menacing, and she is, um
Which this part was easily the scariest part. Well, maybe with the beanie over her head and then just the one eye looking through, that was also pretty
yeah,
scary.
that is creepy,
But this
and
part with the pipes
yeah,
is what I saw, and
on the insert on online,
yeah, so this was like they gave away the scariest part of the whole movie in the Instagram reel. That's
essentially.
how they got people to watch it. But,
Well, that's marketing, but
yeah.
he ends up getting all the way to, as he's unfortunately getting chased by his ghost, um I guess that was the whole plan. She ends up chasing him all the way back to where her body is, and it leads right to where her corpse is, next to the little opening in the wall, the little
Mhm.
hole. Which also, when he was there, seemed a bit tighter than from the first time. That
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed like now it was like a small corridor when it felt like earlier in the film it felt like a big room. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Maybe it
um,
just was hard to tell. Like, there was
yeah,
also another instant. The painting on the be much further away from him, And then the last time he went to pick it up, it was like one step away from him.
Yeah.
So I don't know if like something's messing with the reality of like the rooms here
Listen,
and
it
like
could
making them
be
like
that
a
because
supernatural aspect. I don't know.
it maybe even seems like something was going on in this place before even the mom and any of that stuff. Like maybe the mom was only becoming evil and like malicious and tricking her husband like that because she was possessed by some spirit or something in the house and there
Yeah.
was already stuff there. Or it's like a portal. It seems like it's a portal to like one of those nexus places where like uh they're underneath there's like portals to their gateways to heck.
Oh yeah.
But she ends up he ends up finding or sticking his hand out and grabbing the knife that was already left in the sheetrock, and he tries to essentially like cut his way out. And this is one of the moments where you're speaking of, whereas he's doing that and like he's got a flashlight, so it's kind of like he's looking at the corpse and he's looking back at the hole and he's trying to like also be aware of like if Olga is nearby.
Yeah.
And the corpse's body isn't moving, but its
But her
head
head
kind
is
of
moving.
just like very subtly too. It's not all it's very much like well, not even because um uh Hell House was very like obvious, like
Yeah.
hers was a bit more subtle. And
Yeah.
then it
It was
and
just
then
from like slightly 45-degree angle to head on.
like yeah, uh-huh. And then he kind of notices it, but then he kind of also is like, because it's such a
This
slight.
playing tricks on me.
But
Yeah.
then he ends up getting freaked out enough that he takes off his beanie and he puts it over her. But then, like, when he comes back and looks at her, somehow, like, did it already have a hole or did she chew a
No,
hole?
she ripped a hole through
Right?
the just so
The
one little
fabric.
eye was peering out.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, hell nah. The one
And
hole so
he's
she can watch? Uh-uh."
yeah, and he's always like, ooh, but at the same time that he's like freaking out about this, he and trying to cut through fast, he starts to hear the little bunny drum, and
Yeah,
that's when we
Bunny
notice
starts
that
going off.
Olga is walking down the stairs, and so he stops and he pulls back, and she comes in and she gets like an arrow or something, and she's going in there and she starts feeling around. And I
Yeah,
thought
I
at
think
this
she pulls
point,
the arrow out of Mom's chest.
oh, that's what it is. Okay. And so she pulls it out, and then maybe she needed an arrow. And so
Yeah, I
then
think she did.
she pulls it out, but I was thinking this would have been a good time for him to like slit her wrist or something or like do
I know.
something,
I was thinking
right?
that he should have killed her or
He
broken
could have
her
just
hand.
grabbed it and just like, but
Yeah.
it's a good thing he didn't because I guess his gesture of, I guess, letting her live because he was just staying silent, um, allows her to do something later, I guess, for him because at this point now Mo's here, right? He arrives and
Yes, Mo shows up.
he's coming down the stairs and he's like already berating her, like, why is the power out? Like, what have you done? What's going on here?
Yeah, he
Like,
says, "You really made a mess of this." And then she's like, "None of this would have happened if it wasn't for you." And he was like, "Don't talk to me that way." And he was like, "You're
yeah,
just like your mother said." And so this is where I was like, it was their plan to kill him all along.
mm, got it.
Um,
And
and
he put it under the pretense of like he killed your dad, so you got to get revenge.
yes,
Got it, got it, got it. And then he put
exactly.
it under the pretense of like, that bitch is crazy. So like
Mhm.
whatever she says, don't she's crazy. I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then they were two pawns being played against each other. And so
Mhm.
then he is down there and he starts talking to or no, he doesn't start talking. He starts to look through the hole himself, right? To try to see if he can see Isaac.
Yeah, he looks through the hole and if we're like, "Oh shit, he
Yeah.
maybe just saw him." And then he's going and he's putting his face up to the hole, sees Isaac in there,
Yeah.
and or at least we think he sees Isaac in there. But then while he's looking up to the hole, Olga shoots him in
Yeah.
the left shoulder, so right around his heart. But I think it was too high slightly. But I was like, "Good on you, Olga, get him." And
Mhm.
then, she locks him in the basement,
And I
or
love how she
no,
just
he
well,
doesn't, or she doesn't, he does, doesn't he? Or does she do it?
no,
I don't
she
remember
does it.
now.
She does
Okay.
it. But it's because she, like, shoots him, and then she's just, like, looking at him, and he's just looking at her like, "What the fuck?" And she's just
Yeah.
like, "Whatever. Alright." And she just, like, shrugs, and then just, like, starts walking slow up the stairs, and just kinda looks at him, and then just keeps walking, and then she locks it, yeah, she locks him down.
Yeah.
But then
That's
that's
right.
whenever
And then
Isaac is like, or not Isaac, Mo is like trying to talk through the wall
Mo.
to Isaac. Mo, yeah, is trying to talk to
Mhm.
Isaac and being like, she locked us down here. If you come out of there, like we'll team up, we'll take her down, essentially, or something like that. Like, trying
But then
to.
while he's saying that, he grabs something because he's gonna
Mhm.
ambush him as soon as he gets out of the wall to kill him,
Oh,
try and kill
oh
him
yeah, yeah,
again.
yeah. Just trying to trick him, and so,
And then
uh,
we see the saw come through the wall, and you're like, "Damn, Isaac, no, don't fall for his trap." And
yeah,
we just see the saw poke through the wall and start sawing. And then while you see that, we hear over the intercom, we hear Barrett like, I'm out. I'll send someone back for you." And it's
yeah.
like, "Oh shit. Who is sawing the wall then?"
Mhm.
And then I wrote mommy.
Mhm.
But and sure enough, we just see the saw finish, the wall push out, and then we see Mo back up as he realizes, like, oh crap, who's sawing the wall? And he backs up into the corner, and then we just see her little head poke out. But I wish it would have shown more.
I
You know,
left
I'm
you
not a
wanting
fan of when
more.
they show faces, but this
Yeah,
time I liked her face.
she was very like creepy, but not over like there wasn't
Done.
even
She just
it
looked
seemed
like a dead body.
yeah, it's very much just an actor with makeup on them. But
Yeah,
their performance by the actor really like their eyes and the subtleties, like they really gave it a
it's very
creepy effect.
unsettling. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I wish they would have shown more of her and like him getting fucking ripped to shreds. I would have
Yeah,
loved that.
because he just
Um,
screams and like it's like a half scream and it gets cut off and it's to black.
yeah, and I was like, "Oh, end of the movie." But then,
Mhm.
no, 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 no. He
Mhm.
We get Isaac escaping through the grate because we get the grate open and
Mhm.
Olga comes and finds it, and we see that he's gone into the grate and is scooting out through like the bottom of the house or something,
Yeah,
and he's
you
getting
gotta
the
go down to
doggy.
go up.
Yep.
Mhm.
And like as above, so below.
Mhm.
And he's getting the doggy, and it just ends with her still tied up and him standing there with the dog. And
Yeah,
then that's it.
that's the end.
That's the end. I think in lieu of fun facts, I'll read this explanation because I also couldn't
Explanation.
find fun facts.
Yeah, and also I think it just deserves, I think, a bit of I the word that I was trying to think of, I remembered it and then I forgot it again, but I think I just remembered it again. Is it exponent ex
Expose. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
exposition.
Exposition.
Exposition. Exposition. When the character gives exposition. Okay, sorry. There we go. All right. That's what I was
Okay.
trying to think of earlier. Go ahead.
Well, so, so it's the thing
Try it.
would
Wait.
stop going away.
Hold on. Restart one more time because the phone, I mean, the internet kind of did something funny there.
Yes, I know. I disappear.
Oh, okay.
So it says the movie Caveat, a 2020 Irish film, showed no limitations when messing with the minds of the audience watching it. To find clues to the ending of the movie Caveat, you need to deeply digest the film in order to have a solid explanation that links every character to the murder of Olga's father and mother. asking questions as to who was involved with the death of both parents. Why was it so important for someone to kill them? The timeline of both deaths, the explanation of the key around Olga's mother's neck, why Isaac was back in the house after he had already sent there in the first place, and many more. So let's jump right into it. This is a Reddit post from Boring Reporter 5808 from 3 years ago in the subreddit screenwriting.
And we
It says,
haven't
in the movie, we
re
are.
I was
What?
like it was like, and we haven't re re pre-read this, so if they say something outlandish, we don't
Yeah.
yeah,
We
they
don't,
don't they
maybe this
don't
doesn't necessarily reflect our
our
views.
thoughts. Yeah, there we go. Cool.
Yeah. In the movie, we are confronted with a lot of lies, obstacles, and manipulation that have led me to believe that ED and Barrett killed Olga's mother.
Mhm.
Erectile dysfunction?
I
No.
think he's her dad, right? I guess.
Yeah, I think so. But that's the only thing I can think of with ED. Olga herself stated that she was not in the house when her mother died. Both Barrett and Ed, oh, Ed, he had it both capitalized, E and D capitalized
Oh, so his name's
the
Ed.
first
Got
time,
it.
but
Yeah,
Ed. Okay,
got it.
I'm just dumb. Both Barrett and Ed killed her because she was mad for the reason that the house they were living in was haunted, possessed by old spirits. So you mentioned that.
Mhm.
And then after all, it has been in the family for a long time. Olga's mother, Ima, not only was crazy, but she was looked down upon by both Barrett and Ed themselves for being controlling. This is seen when Olga's mother locked Ed in the chain vest and swallowed the key. We then see the key around her neck throughout the flashbacks of her. When her body is found, she still has the key around her neck. This can be explained that when Barry and Ed killed the mother, they left it there on purpose since Ed was already traumatized by being locked in the vest before and wanted to keep the key around her neck so that way no one had access to it. Little did Ed know that Barrett had a second key, so this was perfect for Barrett. Barrett then killed Ed later on because he knew too much and couldn't trust Ed not to go to the police with the killing of Olga's mom. This can be backed up at the beginning of the movie when Barrett told Isaac that Ed was having breakdowns. Okay, so that was what we said too. Another piece
Mhm.
of evidence was Olga's suspicion of Barrett himself when she felt that her father did not commit suicide and also stated to Isaac that Barrett couldn't go through with the killing him, so he sent Isaac to finish it. Olga thought her mother was missing because that is what Barrett played into the most. But we see in the movie when Olga's led down to the basement when she finds her dead mother's corpse. One key piece of evidence to back up that Olga's mother died before Ed was that the mother missing person poster in the kitchen when Isaac first went into the house. That's right,
Mm,
because it was there when
yeah.
Isaac went to write the note. We also see this poster when Isaac returns, meaning that the mother died before the father. Since Olga was not there for her father's death, Barrett lied to her and told her that Isaac was the cause of her father's death by locking him in the basement. Okay. Paying close attention to the flashbacks in the film, when Isaac first goes into the house, it is simply to warn Ed of Barrett's intent to kill him. When Isaac is writing his warning note to Ed in the kitchen, there's a man's laughter in the distance, which can only be one person, Barrett. Isaac then Isaac then finds himself in front of the already locked basement door and proceeds down into the basement where he sees, oh, okay, so the laughing person was Barrett.
Like he was there at the same time.
Yes, and he locked him in. So he just gaslit him and was like, "That wouldn't make sense. So you were that I paid you to do something when I like, why would I
Mhm.
go do it myself if I paid you to do it?"
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Um, Olga's dying father in the basement and more close to the basement door. Also, when Isaac picks up the crossbow, there is a loud thump sound coming from the top of the basement stairs, which could indicate that Barrett has left the house. When Isaac is roaming in the basement, the camera pays close attention to the stairs. It could be the same way Isaac escaped in the end while he was running away from Barrett. This means that Barrett was still in the house the first time when Isaac was there. He had killed Ed and ran out of the house and locked the door before Isaac came. And he says, now this doesn't explain why Isaac came back the second time, Why did Barrett bring Isaac back, especially when he is experiencing memory loss from his accident? And it's like, yeah, like you already got him to forget it. So why do you need to kill him?
It seemed a bit like nonsensical.
Yeah. Um,
It's like
it
poking the
says,
bear.
yeah, exactly. And it says, well, we all know that Barrett was the reason Isaac is suffering. Barrett had brought Isaac there in the first place to blame on him and would later have to killed the like okay, this is some poor writing. Would have killed the plan to kill him too because of the note Isaac left, with the plan to have killed him. There we go. Barrett had forever lied to Olga to keep himself sane. He then brought Isaac back to the house to finish the job just in case Isaac started to remember or if he thought
Mhm.
Isaac was faking it. The plan for Barrett was to have Olga kill Isaac due to the fact that she thinks he killed her dad. She then realizes that is not true and finds out the truth and shoots Barrett in the back, which later he would be attacked by Olga's mother. Olga's dead mother attacks him because Barrett is the one that killed her in the first place with the help of Ed. Notice how Olga and Isaac are in the house and come in close contact with the dead mother, but the mother does not harm them. Also, notice how at the beginning of the movie, Olga uses the bunny to find her mother. The bunny could be a way for the mother to communicate with Olga and now Isaac. Since the
Mhm.
bunny beats on the drum when a spirit is close by or coming, it could be a way the mother is trying to be found. Another way that the mother is trying to get Isaac's attention is when Isaac is sitting down outside with the dog. We see something pulls on Isaac's chain, which the chain leads to the basement. So that could be the mother's spirit trying to be found
Yeah.
since she was wrongfully killed.
She was like, "Come here."
Yeah, luring him down there.
Yeah.
Um, Lastly, to add to all of this craziness, towards the end of the movie, when Olga is down in the basement with Barrett, Barrett had told her that we had a deal, meaning that the plan all along was to kill Isaac. This is how
Mhm.
Barrett played into it with Isaac because he left Olga the keys in the room. The only phone was also in Olga's room, and Barrett knew that Olga could use a crossbow.
So
So,
interesting. Yeah. So it all hinged on her killing him, but it was the fact that she just never did it like on site. And so it
yeah,
gave them time to basically kind of get information from each other and figure it out.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we had it right. We had it figured out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just there were still some yes. There
Yeah.
were still some, little loose ends, like, I would have enjoyed more lore with the bunny but we had it
It was
figured
all
out.
kind of reading in between the lines,
Yeah,
essentially. Yeah. We just had to have someone else affirm what we were already thinking because
yeah,
we can't just like think that we're smart enough on our own. Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
we're not smart.
Uh,
I'm just
but
kidding, you're
yeah,
so smart.
that makes sense. I mean, it all kind of, yeah, it's all literally there. I think that it wasn't okay. So I know that we picked this because you were like, it's supposed to be really scary. I wasn't scared at all, like
Yeah,
throughout
to
the
me,
whole
it
film,
was
to be
very
honest.
anxiety inducing. I
Hmm.
also watched it in this room with the pitch blackness.
Oh,
Like,
interesting.
I
Yeah.
let the light go out and I just
That's kinda
watched it
creepy.
on my laptop
You have so
with,
much
like
open space behind you.
yeah, I know. And
That's
so
weird.
it was a little anxiety inducing because I watched it in the pitch dark with, um, like, my laptop, like, being this close to the
Yeah.
screen. So maybe that led me to being a little bit more on edge and
Mhm.
hearing, like, the creepy music and stuff.
That
So
makes
to me,
sense.
it was a little anxiety inducing. I was a little bit like, "Oh, this is a little creepy." But I think
Uh,
it was solely because of my setting.
yeah. Because for me, it wasn't necessarily too scary. Um,
Yeah.
there were creepy factors to it, of course, and then there were even just like a bunch of kind of small details that were kind of more like the setting of like the house itself, like how they really paid attention to even like a lampshade being like crooked just a little off, just to make it seem like things are not as they should be. It gives
Yeah.
you that sense of dread. But I thought that like now we're talking about it and kind of like fleshing it out in the explanation. It's a pretty highbrow kind of horror movie in terms of
Yeah.
like it's a really big like kind of plot with kind of these like intricate weaves. Um, and it left me wanting more because
Yeah.
like it almost needs a little bit more explanation for like it to be like here it is, you know. But we do get to like, you know, use our brains a bit more and then figure it out that way. But um
I
like it
hope
was a
he
good
comes back
story.
for
I
Olga.
think I think there was just a lot of things that like were confusing, to be honest, because it's kind of a confusing plot story.
Yeah.
Like because you're confused because like I mean the main guy's confused. He doesn't even know what's going on essentially
Yeah, it's
because
an
he's being set up.
unreliable narrator.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so you're kind of like especially because yeah, I kind of was like, wait, who killed the mom? And then like, but who killed the dad? And then
Yeah.
I guess it's all kind of ingenious on Barrett's part or Mo's part because he basically kind of got he got his hands dirty
He was
without having to get them
whispering
dirty.
little lies into everyone's ears, and they were all different,
Yeah, and then it
turning
was
everyone against each other.
I could really actually take a really good like lesson from him, like take what you would call it, lessons from him, yeah, for Survivor. But he really
Oh, for
did,
Survivor. I was like,
yeah,
"Josh, are you gonna to kill
murder
someone?"
someone. No, but I mean, like he really did have them kind of eating out of the palm of his hands for a
Mhm.
majority of it. But also, like I said, like because it kind of gets me to think, like, well, maybe even like I feel like even the dad never even wanted to kill the mom. You know, it feels more like Mo probably was like, "What a bitch, probably kill her," you know,
Yeah.
and then egged him on to do it, and then that's why I feel like Mo never is like that type of person who never got his hands dirty, but had other people do his work for him, essentially,
Yeah.
you know, and so and then
100%.
it caught up with him to at the end, but yeah, you know what? Over, I'll give it a 3.8. It's almost a 4. I think
Yeah.
that it is, like, a really good story overall. The actors, I mean, did pretty good. Like, I can't really like, she totally gave, like the whole time I'm like, "This bitch is crazy."
Yeah.
I don't I'm like, I don't know you. I don't trust you. And you said one thing and now you're saying another. And now you were fine, but now you got a crossbow. And then the moments that she's just like, I fully expected her to be faking. Or maybe she
Yeah.
was. I don't know.
It'd
But at
just
one
be
point
like,
when he went up to her, yeah, I thought she was gonna like and grab him, but she never did. And so, and then I'm also thinking like, what a convenient like plot point for like writers too. That's kind of creative because then like that kind of gives you a lot to do where it's like, oh yeah, and also there's one character who like happens to like literally shut down for 5 minutes every once in a while.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's pretty interesting. So there were some points in it that were like I couldn't see what was going on, to be honest
Yeah.
because it was really dark and then like especially him in the crawl space or him go when he was like trying to go outside and then he ended up on the deck and essentially I almost kind of didn't even know where he was for a second and then I was like oh okay so there were some points where I was like it was just really dark I couldn't see what was happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thankful that I watched it in here
Uh-huh.
because with the lights off, I could see everything.
Yeah, I bet in your setting
And
and with the
yeah,
brightness of your laptop.
yeah, because it would when the lights went off, it would turn my brightness down automatically, but then I would go back in and turn it up,
Yeah,
and it was good. Yeah. I think I don't know, I liked it. I thought, like, it was anxiety inducing for me. Again, I think that was probably because of how I watched this film and
hmm,
watching it so close to the screen and not, like, 8 feet away, and, um, just, like, being in the complete darkness with so much open space behind me and stuff, like, I don't know, it spooked me a little bit,
yeah.
um, and so I think I'd probably give this, like, a 4.25. I liked it. I thought it was really good. Acting, I thought the acting was really believable from everyone, including dead mom. Um,
Mhm.
and I thought like Mo was a complete asshole, and I
Yeah.
really did hate him. Like he played that character so well, and so just a manipulative piece of POS. Like he did a really good job of portraying that. And Isaac felt completely unreliable the whole time, like while he was regaining his consciousness and memories and everything. It was like, oh shit, like, yeah, who can you trust? And like you
Yeah.
said, Olga was like the whole time very suspecting and just or unsuspecting and no, yeah,
Both at the same
both,
time. Yeah.
yeah. She seemed
Like she
harmless, but also very
dangerous at the same
dangerous
time.
at the same time.
Woo,
Bless
excuse
you.
me.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it just I thought the acting was great. I thought the music was beautiful, well placed. It did lead you in some moments, which I could, you know, it has to be done well, and I thought this was done well. It never like led to nothing.
Mhm.
Um, or like if it did, it like was a good fake out.
Yeah. And there weren't like, honestly, there were a lot of moments too where I was like, you know what? Not that I thought, because I knew like, nah, it's not gonna do it. But like there were so many moments that this movie could have cheaped out with like a jump scare like 4 or 6 times. And it chose not to. It chose to just build up more dread and then really focus on the story, really focus
Hmm.
on the plot of it all.
Yeah, it was a
Mhm.
good psychological thriller that
Mhm.
like got you through, and it really explained and fleshed out well fleshed out like plot line, and it again had some like loose ends, but I think that leaves it up to the interpretation,
Mhm.
and it seems we interpreted it the way that we were intended to, at
Yeah.
least according to one Reddit post. So I think we did a good job,
Tap
and
on
I
the back.
think the film did a good job. So 4.25 from me.
With
um
3.8.
I would definitely watch this film again.
Yeah.
I would
I think
recommend watching it in the, like, pitch dark and then
darkness.
see
Yeah.
if it scares you a little bit.
And the dead of night,
Yeah,
twilight.
with your
Mhm.
back up against the window.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Yeah, I can't believe you watched it with all that space behind you. That's just
Yeah,
spooky. I literally watched it with like my back up against a wall. So
yeah.
yeah. Um, well, a beautiful 3.8 and a beautiful 4.25. Is that a four,
4.
essentially? It's
Yeah,
a
feels
four.
like a 4.
It's a four for caveat.
Caveat. Yay, 2020
Mhm.
by David McCarthy. Was his
Yes.
first name David?
That's a really good question. It was Damien.
Damien. That's
Damien.
right.
Yeah.
Damien,
Damien.
Damian,
Yeah.
not En. But
Mhm.
yes, as always,
We are being brought to you and recorded by the lovely Rogue Media Network Studios, and you can listen to our podcasts and so many others if you go to Rogue Media Network. Excuse me, roguemedianetwork.com.
that's right. And wherever you do listen, don't forget that, or you can listen on a slew of podcasting platforms, but the biggest two would be,
Spotify.
and also Apple. And
Mhm.
wherever you do listen, there we go. Don't forget to,
Rate, review, like, and subscribe.
Mhm, because that is the only way we can get ahead in this world. And then if you want to let us know if you've seen Caveat, if you want to let us know your thoughts on Caveat or any of the other movies that we've covered. I know a lot of people were excited about our 7 episode. I had
Mm,
random, not random people, but friends of the podcast message me saying like, "Oh, I can't
very
wait to
excited.
listen to your 7 episode." And I was like, "Don't hate me," because I really I spoke more to Andrew about who the possible other killer could be
Oh, who?
in
Who?
7.
Mhm.
He said that a lot of fan theories is that it's Somerset.
Really?
Yeah, and that he was, like, doing it to, like and that's why he, like, snapped at the end
Uh-huh.
and, like, punched him in the face because he was about to, like, give it away,
Like, blow it all.
but
Yeah.
that he was, like, a red herring,
Wow.
um,
But
and
who
that
would he have
Somerset was
killed?
the
Like,
one.
they were accomplices?
Yeah,
Or that it was all Somerset
it was all
and
Somerset and
John
red
Smith was the red herring?
yeah, John Doe was
Or
the,
John Doe, my bad, yeah.
red herring. I don't know. That was just one of the
Yeah,
fan
yeah, yeah.
theories, but
Now I'm thinking
yeah,
about it, but yeah,
I
that's a
was
lot.
like, because I could kind of see it, but like Somerset was also so
Somerset was so good, I can't
yeah,
see
he
it.
was
Like,
such a like good person.
I can't, like I don't know.
Yeah, but anyways, let us know your thoughts on Seven or Caveat, and let us. You can reach out to us on our one social media platform, which is
At
Instagram.
Oh, yeah, on Instagram, and that's at BOOBAES podcast because we're your BooBaes, not your BooBabes. And yeah,
That's
I
right.
think
And
oh my god.
until next time, you guys, what do we
5?
want to cover
Oh,
next? You want to do House of Wax? That feels
easy.
like a good summer film.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. House of Wax is next, you guys.
We should start doing, like, horror vacation themed
Oh yeah, Titanic.
movies, maybe. See, literally. Something like that, or, like, where people go because I even think they're going somewhere or something like that, and during
Yeah,
House
they
of Wax.
were.
They're road tripping somewhere,
Yeah.
so maybe something like that.
Okay,
Okay,
we'll
some
think of it more.
oh, guys, if you have any, yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for, like, summer vacation style type of horror movies, let us know. Reach out to us on Instagram.
That's right. Yeah, please
Mhm,
do.
mhm, mhm.
But until next time, you guys.
Bye, bays.
Bye, bees.
Ooh.
BooBaes.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.